Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Bible study. So, as always, I would like to open up with a word of prayer. Father, thank you so much for these life-giving words, for exposing our hearts, for convicting us where we need conviction, and for teaching us more about your creation, which just shows us more about you. So, Father, thank you for the love and care you pour out in each word. And may I pray that our hearts would be open to hear your voice. It is in your most holy and precious name we pray. Amen. All right, so if you're joining me live, welcome. I know it's very early, so I actually had a cup of chai this morning because I did not want to wake up. So I hope you have your beverage of choice and your Bible. If you're catching the replay, just let me know, #replay for me. That helps other people find our Bible study. Just if we have more interaction on the post. So anyway, thank you so much, and let's get going. This morning, as I said in the description, we're actually going to be looking at the Song of Solomon, or Song of Songs, for another oil this morning that is only mentioned once in the Bible that I'm aware of. And that is, if you will turn to the Song of Songs, chapter 2. Let me pull out my Bible here. So, Song of Songs. I will find it. There it is. Okay. Short little book, easy to pass up. Chapter 2. So this is actually a poem, and it's written back and forth between a man and a woman. Now, a lot of people read this as just letters between a husband and a wife, which is very true. You can also look at it, though, as a letter between Christ and the church, right? Because Christ is the bridegroom and the church is the bride. So that's another way to look at these poems and how they are written back and forth, and love between this bridegroom and his bride. All right, so I'm in chapter 2, verses 1 and 2, right? And this is the Shulamite, or the bride, saying, I am the rose of Sharon and a lily, and the lily of the valleys. So then the reply in verse 2 is the beloved, or the groom. Like a lily among thorns, so is my love among the daughters. All right, and they're going back and forth. But what we're looking at here is the rose of Sharon. Right? Okay, so if you go back in history and try and figure out what the rose of Sharon is, there are lots of candidates of different roses that would have been in the land of Israel at this time. So let's see. So honestly, we're not sure which one it is, but the likely candidate is called the rock rose, also known as Cistus. So that is, if you get a bottle, this beautiful little gold one that says Rose of Sharon on it, what is in here is the oil of the Cistus, which if you smell it, smells nothing like the roses you are familiar with that come from the flower shop, right? It's got a very different smell. This one, Cistus, is very sweet. Very, very sweet. It's for me personally, it's one of those oils that I really have to be in the mood for. Otherwise, I find it too sweet. Let's see what it is this morning. Okay, this morning it's good. It's not super duper like sweet, but there are folks that absolutely adore Cistus and use it daily. And it's got some really good properties, which is probably why they do that. All right, so historically, what was Cistus used for? Historically, resin from Cistus, so this rock rose, was used as an ingredient for incense. Mm-hmm. And with that sweetness, I can see why. It was used medicinally to treat colds, coughs, and menstrual problems, and rheumatism. So it was used for a large variety of things. The resin was commonly found among the shrubs where goats wandered, and the shepherds commonly used it on the skin of their goats to promote healing when injured. So it wasn't unknown. It was a fairly common rose, and its oil was known for its healing properties in those days. Mm-hmm. So, sorry y'all, it's early. But, you know, in the letter, it's kind of interesting. If you look at the names, the name of the bride is the Shulamite, or she's called the Shulamite, and then the name of the groom is Solomon. And the Shulamite is actually like a feminization of Solomon. So it would be like, you know, Robert and Roberta. Mm-hmm. So the names kind of go together. So her name is based off of his name, just like, you know, the church should be based off of Christ. So it's an interesting way of looking at things. And the series of letters are beautiful. Mm-hmm. And they go into a lot of depth of that love between a husband and a wife, and, you know, things that you should do if conflict comes up. In fact, the Jewish scholars, I don't know if they still do this, but at one time, the students of the Torah, the scriptures, were not even allowed to read this book until they reached the age of 30, because at that age they were considered an adult. Mm-hmm. Because there's some rather explicit things in that book. Now, you can miss them in the flowery language, but they are there. So it's definitely got some very adult themes in this book, because it is about, you know, it's love letters back and forth between a bridegroom and a bride. Mm-hmm. And here she's describing herself, right? Right before the chapter 2, verse 1, she's actually talking about her bridegroom. It says, "Behold, you are handsome, my beloved, yes, pleasant. Also our bed is green. The beams of our houses are cedar, and our rafters of fir." And then she goes on to say, "I am the rose of Sharon and the lily of the valleys." So she was describing him first off, and then she described their home, and, you know, and then she described herself as this rose of Sharon and the lily of the valleys. So, you know, in some ways, flowers are very fragile, right? You have to take good care of them. And also, you know, if you've ever seen Lily of the Valley, they're tiny. They're very tiny. I'm not sure about a rock rose, if it's a large flower or a small flower, but I know lilies of the valley are very small. And at least today, very valuable. I remember when I was looking at wedding bouquets many years ago, I had actually looked at one made of lily of the valley, and it was incredibly expensive because lily of the valley is hard to grow, and it was rare. Historically, I'm not sure if that was also true, but today it is. Mm-hmm. And again, like I said, I'm not sure about the rock rose, but just interesting, to look at these comparisons and what she's saying, possibly saying about herself. All right, so I think that was about all I had this morning. This is going to be a little short, but, this is awesome stuff. And again, remember, as we said, emotionally, smells have a lot to do with our emotions. And the smell of cistus can be very calming to one's nerves. It can be a very relaxing scent. It has been looked at for what it does on a cellular level, possibly having to do with cellular regeneration. So it's a beautiful oil to have in your stash. In fact, forgive me, I meant to look this up ahead of time and I didn't, but I think it's in Proverbs. The Bible talks about, being rich with a treasure of oils or something like that. Anyway, basically the treasure it being oils. So, it's something to consider that, the Lord gave us all of these treasures that are available to us for our use and for our treasures. And of course, everything that He made points back to Him. So I hope this has been informative and that you've learned something. But most importantly, I hope that these studies just point you back to God, to His Word, and to help you dig in a little deeper. So good morning, guys. You have a great day, and I will talk to you later.